Hi, my name is Melanie. I hope this video finds you well. I wanted this video to be a very special video. I wanted it to be a little catch up for all of my friends and followers out there who have followed me in my fitness business and that side of things over the past few years, as well as an intro to new folks. So once again, my name is Melany Sesto. I am a 33-year-old trans woman. I have been on my transition journey for about 8 months now, and I just wanted to check in with everyone and be a source of light and positivity in your life today, lift you up. So I did not prepare for this video as well as I wanted to, so I just kind of wanted to talk about my journey so far in life, and I hope that I can provide some inspiration to you and make really lift you up. So this month I'm 7 months, about 7.5 months into my HRT part of my journey. I came out to one of my best friends, and she was a client when we were working together, and she's a great friend, and I came out to her about a year ago. I came out to my mom, and I had worked with a therapist almost a year ago. It was really, really amazing to kind of go through that journey, but so I noticed that my gender fell off from a really young age. So I remember when I was around 7, like thinking that 7 up to 12, things just felt very off about being a boy, being male. It felt very odd to me. It felt awkward. Puberty terrified me, and like I noticed that right around the age of 12 it just felt very off, and I just remember bearing that for so many years, and it was almost just like bearing that discomfort and just trying to make the world around me happy, bearing things under the rug. Definitely don't recommend that for anybody. If you are going through something, talk about it. It's tough out there. It's so tough. But I just remember those feelings of being a child and being so afraid of what other people would think of me. And I didn't know what to call it. I'm growing up in the 90s and early 2000s. It was laughed at. Like, it was laughed at. Whether you being gay or like the idea of being trans, like what I saw on like Maury or Jerry Springer, it was like that wasn't me. Like I was just a normal person. And I didn't want people to think that there was something wrong with me, because I had social anxiety too, and it was really bad. And this video is really hard for me to make, but I'm trying my best. I want to really get it out there, as it was just really, really hard as a kid. Late 90s, early 2000s. I didn't know what to call it because I was just afraid of it for some, like I just buried it under the rug. And I couldn't give it a name. And years went by, and I never felt worthy of it, of being myself. I was just so full with fear. And like around when my sister died when I was 17, I really just became so depressed, and I just mostly focused on school, which is a good thing. I kind of just delved into my studies. I really wanted to be a personal trainer, so that was something I focused on a lot. Like I just delved into working out and staying active. I never really thought about it. I mean, it would cross my mind time and time again, but I just kept bearing it under the rug because I was like, well, I didn't want to be treated any differently. It was just, looking back now, it feels so off. This today, I mean, I feel more whole than I've ever felt my entire life. And just thinking about how I felt then, it just seems so different now compared to now. Like, how could I ever be so afraid to be myself? But I remember I was, and just being a kid and writing "I'm a girl" in Japanese on my computer because I didn't want to tell anybody because how could I discuss this with anyone? And I've always had a very accepting mom and very cool. But I always was like, okay, well, if I tell my mom, then I have to tell everyone. So, and I didn't know how everyone would act. So, or school and those types of things. I was scared and like that fear. And definitely don't be afraid. Fear kills so many dreams, it kills so many aspirations. That feeling of doubt and fear, don't let that consume you ever. And it was just like around that time, like from puberty onward, it was like terrifying. But I just got so immersed in other things. Again, just burying things under the rug. And when I was working, like I focused on a lot of good positive things too that carried me over to today, like exercise and taking care of myself. And I just, when I started working out, it just felt off too. When I got out in the world, especially after I graduated with my undergrad in 2015, like even then, like being called a man and it just felt very it felt off. It's really hard to describe. Like it almost just feels like, remember in school when we'd walk into the wrong classroom? Like it felt like that's what gender dysphoria feels like. It just feels, it's so hard to explain sometimes because it's not like I woke up one day and was like, oh, I want to be a girl. It's like it's it's like these things where it just feels so off. And like we take for granted what we're like, most people, we just are, and it's kind of like you just are, but it doesn't match. Like it's so interesting to me. Like even from an outside perspective, it's fascinating. But I'm thankful that I took these steps. Um, and it took me a while, but remember, it's never too late. Like, I'm only 33. I'm still a baby. At least that's what everyone says. um, and like even in my early 20s, when like when I did try to like the thought of like dating and things, like it felt off for me because like I didn't want to um date because I didn't feel like gay was like the right descriptor for like how I felt in my own skin. Like I didn't feel like that. I also I also felt being attracted to men, I felt very off being attracted to men being perceived as a man because it felt like I didn't see myself as a gay male. So like I didn't want that to be like awkward. But it's kind of like it's very like I it took me so long to put a name to it. And when I came out um a year ago, like I was ready to come out, like even in like 2020, 2021. But I took my time, and whatever you're going through in life, just take your time, be patient. Um and there'll never be a right time. I say this all the time to people. There will never be a right time for anything. Life will always be crazy. And I fell into that trap myself, like waiting for the right time. But I made sure that I got into therapy. And if you are going through anything, like we stigmatize mental health so much in our society. Like go seeking mental health help is just like should just be like brushing your teeth. It's a form of self-care. It's wonderful for you. And I'm thankful that she was able to help me kind of figure things out and talk through things. And at that point, I was ready to take those steps. And I started my medical transition at the Pride Clinic at Suma. And I love them. Oh my God, they're so amazing. And I'm so thankful for them. They're amazing. And So I've been on hormones now since June, and little baby steps. And I want to talk about some of those changes that I've experienced. So the physical changes started off like skin. I would get hot really quick. My skin became softer. I noticed that right off the bat. And I noticed a little bit of facial changes, more body fat in my face. And I've always had a good starting point, which I'm really thankful for. And I noticed I've gotten more baby hairs here over the past few months, right along the forehead, my cheeks, and a little bit I've noticed. So that was the first ones, like hair, baby hairs, skin softness, a little bit, the pores become smaller, and skin softness. I haven't had any negative side effects. Feeling pretty good. I'm still taking care of myself. Drinking coffee, water, lots of fiber and nutrients. I'm still working on my voice. That's the tough part. Testosterone is a dick. But anyways, it's so like those little changes. So the changes happen really gradually, small steps over time. Let's see. And then I started noticing breast development around October. And now that effect is really happening more. And I think that's fantastic for me because I've always had a lot of dysphoria around my chest area, chest, shoulders, face, hair, head. That's where a lot of my gender dysphoria was, especially as a little kid. Like, I remember going to my grandma and going to my dad and like, oh, boys don't shave their chest. That's what I was told. And I really did not want to be a boy, but like, I mean, it was just so hard for me as a kid. Like just that fear of not being accepted and not being loved. It was so sad, but I'm happy and thankful of where I am today. Again, it feels so different to talk about, and that's why I'm glad I'm talking about that, because like when I was a kid and I was hiding this, I remember in my late teens and early 20s crying in the shower and just feeling like I'll never be able to transition. I'll never be able to do this because I used to think it's too late. People won't accept me or love me. I won't be able to do the things I want to do. People will think I'm weird, but we're all weird. Like, we're all our unique self. Be yourself. Be unique, which is another point I want to get to. Another thankful party that I'm like, group that I'm excited for. So let's go back to some of the changes. So, the body fat redistribution. I noticed I'm bumping into things a lot more. So I think my hips are getting a little more body fat. I don't have a lot of body fat to redistribute. A low body fat percentage, kind of. And that has been one of my goals through my transition, was to gain weight. So I've been eating more. One of the side effects of my medication is I crave salt a lot, and I've been really trying to make those healthy choices. I've been buying more, like when I am hungry for like a chip or a cracker, I'll get more of an organic vegetable based. I'll make sure I get something with lots of fiber. But that's really my goal, is to gain a little bit of weight. I've always been kind of thin, even when I used to lift weights a lot, and I still do. That is one of the effects of HRT is I have lost muscle mass, which I'm okay with because I mean, this is how I've always saw myself, deep down inside, and I couldn't ask for anything better. And the biggest thing for me is I feel so healthy on the inside, and that, for me, that counts the most. I love my hair too, but and my cheekbones and my eyes. My eyes are my favorite part of my being, well, other than my soul. But like the salt cravings, that happens. Peeing a lot, which is why even before I transitioned, I would pee a lot, but I do now a lot. But so hips, I notice my butt's getting bigger. But that's just part of the fat redistribution. So just a little bit of the body fat, breast development. Um, and it's interesting how I notice that they're moving along nicely. Everything's moving along nicely on the physical side. But I also wanted to talk about the emotional side because early on I didn't really get very emotional. When before I transitioned, I would have a very hot Italian temper sometimes. Like I get very angry. Um since I've transitioned, and I think a lot of it is due to the hormones. Also, a lot of it is because I feel at peace. I feel happy. I feel content and whole um, in who I am, and I love who I am. I love me. I love me now. Melany Melina Sesto, and I love my name. It's so gorgeous, and it just speaks. And my mom helped me pick out my middle name, Melina. It's Greek, so Melany Melina Sesto sounds very Italian and Greek. I love it. It's beautiful. And also I'm pretty much done with the legal side of my transition. I think there's one little document that I need to get to fully complete everything, but it's all set. Melany Melina Sesto. I love the name. And my mom helped me, which I love that. Um, so that side of things. Socially, I think I came out to just about everyone by now. Some people may not. I mean, I feel even to this day, I have a hard time coming out to people who don't know because it's very hard to tell. Like I sometimes I'm not very good at it because I think inherently I don't like to make people feel uncomfortable. It's just an innate thing, a bad habit where I just like to make people, and this is just who I am as a person. I like to make sure people are always comfortable. I mean, and I realize that in life, like we're not always going to do that, but I like to. I mean, and maybe that's getting. I don't want to be a people pleaser, but I also just like to. I'm a pretty chill person, which is like even back like now that's one of the effects is I'm more calm now. Um, I've noticed I'm more calm. Another thing is I'm crying a lot now. I used to be a pretty emotional. I've always been an emotional person. Even like driving down the road, I would just break out and crying, listening to an emotional song. And I do that. I just do it a lot more now. But definitely lots of crying. Um, Also catastrophizing everything. So that's kind of like where I'm at. Like I get really emotional. So I've always been emotional, but now it's like emotional times 1,000. Um, but I'm happy. Like I feel so good. And like and back to even like why like I struggle like sometimes with things because it's a hard thing, and I'm really proud that I am doing a hard thing cuz in a world that doesn't really like it can be hard out there. And I've seen a lot of my trans sisters and brothers go through so many like discrimination and alienation from friends and family, and I feel so thankful that I have loving friends and family. I'm thankful for my mom, and I cannot tell you how thankful I am for my mom. She is the biggest supporter. I call her my transition coach. She'll like sometimes with my voice, like just like go like this, do it higher, heat from fire. um, but it's but I love her. Like she is the best. Initially when I came out to her, I think she was more like, "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" And you know I'd be accepting. Um, and I think again I would worry that that would mean I'd have to come out to everybody, and is everybody going to be okay with it? And but she's like the biggest champion for me. And like what she always says, like how could you hate your child being happy? Um, and take it from my mom. We saw it. Like, she watched her child, my sister, lay in a casket, dead. Like, I mean, not to sound morbid, but like really, like anybody who loses a child can give you that advice in the best way. Like, how could you hate your child being who they are when, they could be gone? And like, if I was a parent, I would want to see my kid be happy, being themselves. I mean, being whole and helping others and being a good person and being happy. Like, be yourself. Like, be authentic. So many of us are afraid to be authentic, and not even just talking about transitioning and being trans. It's so many of us are afraid to be authentic. In so many other ways too. So be authentic. And even like parenting, like and I mean, I can't speak for parents. I'm not a parent, but just from wisdom I've gotten from my mom is, um, your role as a parent is not to dictate or accept, like, or deny. It's to give wisdom and advice and encouragement and be there for and like want them to be happy. Like my mom just doesn't understand how so many people like alienate their children just because they want to live their life as like the opposite gender. Like it doesn't really affect anything. If anything, I'm much happier. Like, and I'm so thankful for my mom for being my biggest champion. Um, I'm so grateful for her, because so many moms, they're not. And like she was telling me tonight how much she loves it and loves watching me blossom into somebody who's beautiful and kind and content and happy. I love that. Like I just love that. I want that for everybody. And I know I not everybody has that, but maybe I can give you some light. I hope I can. And so like it's just I just don't get it. But I know that there are people out there who just, and also we don't like what we don't understand, as humans. And I think too, like, be curious and learn. Like, life is about learning big time, and we can all learn something from each other. I always think that's important. So yeah, like that's pretty much all of the changes that I've noticed so far. Um, I feel calm, content, um, and I think a lot of that's a combination of my medicine plus just living as my true self, and I love that. And just like living as my true self, like it that makes me feel content, and like really a lot of the physical changes, like they make me feel happy, like, but it's not all physical, which I love because it feels like it feels like I've like blossomed into myself from the inside out, and I love it. And I I really really hope I can be an inspiration to others, and I'm just so thankful and happy, and I can't wait to see what the next year brings. Like it's only been 8 months, and I really feel like it's just the beginning, which is really awesome. And especially I want to talk about the COVID shutdown. So when I struggled with this so much through my teenage years, going all the way back to around 12 years old was when I really started to notice the gender dysphoria, where there was such a imbalance. Something just felt so off from being a boy. And this is how I describe gender dysphoria. It's like you're over here and you feel like you should be over here. And and it's so like for me it's like it was always, and I wrote this in my notes a couple years ago. It's like it you almost felt like pushed away from like my sisters. Like it just felt so like I felt so uncomfortable being in male spaces and kind of like being associated with male spaces because it just felt so off to me. Um like it felt like I shouldn't, like I still remember that feeling I felt in school where it's like all the boys stand up and all the girls stand up. It's like, well, I want to stand up. I'm a girl. And like, why do I have to stand up with the boys? Oh, it's because, yeah. But yes, that's exactly what I went through. And then suppressing it. And once my sister passed away, like just burying myself in just depression and just trying to work my way through it through college and all those things. But when I was COVID, during the shutdown, I started to slow down in life. Like I didn't have to go to work. I didn't have to have any in-person clients or go to a gym. I could just be myself. And I noticed those little pieces of myself. I remember when I started doing videos for my business and I saw my my mannerisms and I saw how hesitant I was and I saw different things within me that brought a lot up to the surface. It was like, well, I feel uncomfortable. And I started to see little pieces of myself. I started to go back into experimenting with makeup and and I saw, like, for example, like the mask along my face would be like, I would like envision myself with as more feminine features. Like it just really, really, like it gave me time to like think about my whole life. Because when COVID first hit, I literally was like terrified for my life. And like it was kind of like my life flashed before my eyes because I was so scared. And I just thought about things, thought about life as like, you know what? Life is short. And I already knew that. I was reminded that life is short. So I just slowly started to, on my 30th birthday, I bought makeup and I put it in a bag and it said happy birthday on it. And that was when I, like around the age of 30 is when I started. And then I just kind of hid it for a few years. And I came out last year. And since then, I've never been happier. Like, I came out to my friends and my family, and then I eventually came out at work lately. But things have been going really good. And you must have to come out at work when you legally transition too, because all your forms say your name now. And, you know, I think a lot of things over the past year with my business and working with a lot of different clients and people and just the collaboration with my clients, I've been able to like look at things in a whole new way. Like it is really about self-love and self-compassion and being yourself, which even goes back into when I started my online training business. So this is when I found the OTA and I got certified in 2020. And one of the things, and I'm going to thank the OTA for my part of my story because I was told, hey, you can be yourself, be unique, that 1% uniqueness factor. And like, I thought about that. I was like, I used to, because I came up in the exercise field through a very like, you know, like exercise science school and like, it was very like, I used to worry about being like, I'm a rule follower. And that's why it was so hard for me. But like I was told, hey, you can be yourself. You can be unique. You can be weird. You can be yourself. You can be different. It's okay. I think for me, it was like, hey, you know what? You can be yourself. You can be you. And through that journey, I just slowly started to, I mean, my logo is pink. It's always been pink, guys. But since then, I just took little steps and to finally like sharing with you all, like, and I thank you for being here along the journey. And I'm so excited to where we're gonna go because I feel like for me, this is just the beginning of like my transition is also coinciding with a lot of amazing things in my life. Like I've just completed grad school. I started doing more professional things within exercise physiology and using my major. My master's degree says my name on it now. It says my name that I chose, and then my mom chose my middle name. I love her. And I love all my friends and family who've been so supportive. I haven't had, and I'm thankful, and I know that it can be a mean world out there. But I am thankful for my friends and my family and my coworkers and my clients who have been so supportive in this, and me catastrophizing. I was like, oh, I'm going to transition. I'm going to lose everyone. That was my biggest fear. But everyone showed up, and everyone showed up with smiles and joy and love and hugs, lots of hugs. I love hugs. And like, it's just a lot to be thankful for this year. This year has been one of the biggest years of my life, with transitioning and finishing grad school and building my business and just making lots of time for self-care. Self-care is big. If you know me, like, taking care of your mental health and your self-care and yourself is so important. And I'm happy. So I'm 7.5 months on HRT. I'm so thankful for my medical staff at the Pride Clinic, because I wouldn't know where they'd be, because before I transitioned, I was like terrified. I was like, okay, so I'm going to go before this is totally stereotypical, but that I used to like envision, like, how am I going to approach a doctor with this? Like, that was a big thing for me, is how am I going to approach a doctor about transitioning? Because I didn't even know where to start. And I'm thankful for my therapist for recommending the Pride Clinic. If you are LGBT, definitely recommend. It didn't even feel like a doctor's office. It felt like going to a friend's house. Like everybody there is so supportive and loving and kind and super knowledgeable. I also loved how my doctor talked about more than just my transition. He also seemed very interested in my whole health and just my well-being as a person, which I thought was amazing. And I always like worried, like, how do you go into and I never like going to the doctor when I was a kid, and I was like, how do I approach a doctor with this? Like, what do I say? Me being all nervous, shy person. But I figured it out, and I'm thankful I found them, and they monitor my health. I get blood work every few months, and like, I was explained everything, and they're just so knowledgeable about this stuff. And I also think, for me, coming from a science background and an understanding of how hormones work, a good foundation on like testosterone and estrogen and how they all work and interplay, that's also been helpful for me too, is knowing how they all work and having a good understanding of that. But I'm just so thankful to be almost, in a few months it'll be almost a year being on HRT, and I just think I'm really happy because I've had so many other wins too. Like, my hair wins are really good. My makeup wins. Everybody's complimenting my makeup skills, and I'm shocked. I mean, I'm thankful because I don't even try. I feel like a jerk, but I just, maybe natural talent, or just buy the expensive stuff and I'm gonna go broke. but but yeah, like, completing my legal transition's been really big for me too, because I've always been afraid of like losing things, and it's like, well, you legally transition, and like, no one can ever take that away from you. And it's like, it makes me feel so good because I love my name, and I love the nicknames too, like Mel and Melly Mel. Mel is my favorite. Melly Mel, that's the best one, and it also involves my middle name, so it's super cool. Getting my license changed and hitting these milestones. So in the next few months, I'm excited to share more updates with you guys too. So I've noticed the body hair thinning, which I'm really happy about, because hair has always been very, highly dysphoric for me. When I was hitting puberty, when I was a kid, I hated that feeling. It just felt so off to me and like scary, like a testosterone demon. Like, body hair has always been a big dysphoria for me, so I'm thankful that's thinning. There, not my hair. My hair's looking good. Skin softer, more sensitive. Um, I'm hungrier now, but I know they said it was like a second puberty, but like I've always been hungry a lot. I like eating. Eating food is good. Um, my hairline, my doctor did say my hairline would change a bit. I feel like it kind of is. It may also be because my hair's growing more too. I've had more baby hairs. What lowering testosterone can do, it can like slow down some scalp shedding. It can change your hairline a little bit, which is really awesome. Let's see. My eyes are popping. Like they're huge. I love them. And let's see. Body fat redistribution. Notice more hips, thighs. My muscle loss, I'm okay with. I've also been really like I don't know, it could be other things too because I haven't been really doing a lot of strength training. I mostly have been doing a lot of body weight stretches and kettlebell and glute band stuff like that, but it's just because my schedule's different now because I'm doing a lot of other things and and I'm okay with the muscle because I still exercise, and I think for me heart health is really important, especially as I get older, especially with having family history of heart disease and with my mom and just taking watching my nutrition and eating plenty of fiber and omega-3s. That's been really helpful. And I think that I'm actually trying to get back to a place letting my body get used to it and do whatever it does as I transition, and then getting into more of a more workout routine that I used to do, while still supporting my transition goals. And I just think it's awesome to kind of go through that and start fresh, which is really cool because it gives me new opportunities, and I love new opportunities. And the body fat redistribution, breast development, they always say don't expect a lot in that department. They're really coming in now. I think they say expect an A cup or a small B cup. I joke with my mom, and I was like, I have bigger dreams than that. I'm set for bigger things than that. But, right. But, they do say chattiness is a side effect. But I've always been a talker. So, so many of these changes are I've always been kind of, chattiness. Is it that, or is it just because I feel so good being myself that I like to talk? I love to talk. I could talk all day. A sense of peacefulness, calmness. I feel like a lot of that is just because I'm not hiding who I am anymore. I'm not suppressing. I'm not throwing things under the rug. I'm not fearful. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to be myself. Why? Why would I? Life is too short. And I feel more, and because of that, because I am living as my true self and happier than ever, I am able to be more focused. And I've noticed this big time too. I'm able to focus more creating content, and with my business, feel more focused when I read and do work. When I go to my work, I feel focused. When I'm around people, I feel focused on them, and I can listen and talk communicate better. I feel focused in more in the moment and present, which I'm super thankful for, because that's a big change. And I think the biggest change of all is that I feel hopeful, and I feel worthy. I feel damn worthy now. I remember that frightened kid who was afraid to say that little kid who was afraid to say who she was because the world told her she was a boy based on one fact, based on one thing, what the doctor said. Don't be afraid to say who you are. And that fear has always held me back, and when I was younger, and don't you let fear hold you back. I just feel so worthy now. Those feelings of not feeling worthy, am I worthy to transition? Am I worthy to be myself? What will people think? You know what? life is too short to worry about any of those things. And I know it. I know it because I buried my sister and at 17, and since then I just immersed myself in work, continued to bury things under fear and not wanting to stand out. But you know what? Today I feel so happy at almost a year into coming out and then starting the medical transition, the legal transition, the social transition. I feel great, and I just hope that I just really hope that whatever, if you're going through something where you feel fearful, yes, wait until you feel safe. Like, be around people and environments where you feel safe. Because there are a lot of mean people out there. And like, I was just talking with my mom, like, we've been lucky because just about everybody's been super supportive and encouraging and accepting and loving. And like, I cannot tell you how thankful I am for all the hugs I've gotten since I came out, and all the good things and all the wins. Like you guys mean, like, if we've like basked in the evolution of this year and me coming out and living my true life, like I have no word to express how thankful I am for you, for being here for me. I really am. Let's talk about what's next, because I'm excited. I feel hopeful and worthy and badass. And so what's next? So I will reach my year on hormones in June. So it'll be 8 months in February. And from a little bit of the research I've done, right around that 8 to 12 point mark is when a lot of the changes start to really pick up. Right now I'm taking pills, and some people take a shot or a patch, and I'm not really sure about those yet. I still need to do some more research on those on my own. I'm curious about them. I know that the shot is probably more effective because it just goes right into the bloodstream. I'm considering that. I don't know about any surgeries. I always say, my mom says that I don't really need a lot of surgeries, like on my face. I love my face. My face looks great. And I haven't really thought about surgeries. Again, because a lot of my dysphoria is like here, and so I haven't really, and plus the thought of getting surgery isn't, like, I don't like that's, like, surgeries scare me, but always something to think about down the line. I always say this about surgeries, that anyone can get a surgery on their face to look more like a societal expectation of a stereotype, right? Like, we all could get surgeries on our face. To what end? That's the thing with surgeries, is that, I mean, there's a point at which you cross into never enoughness. Like, when will anything be enough? Because, like, you could get surgery after surgery and still not be happy with yourself. So many people are. They get plastic surgery, they get all kinds of things, and they're still not happy and satisfied and content. But really, reaching a point of contentment is where I'm about. Because really, when I think about it, like, as far as, like, surgeries go, like, I didn't transition for anyone else or anything else. I transitioned for myself to, like, really just heal that child who was so scared. I was so scared to be myself my whole, basically 15 years of my life. And, like, since I was 12. And, like, I'm honoring that right now in this moment today, because tomorrow's never guaranteed. Like, I think, hey, if I'm honoring that today, like, guess what? You're golden, because, like, there are people who chase surgeries and they just never find themselves happy. So I think it is important to find a level of contentment in ourselves physically, because we are more than our meat sacks. We're more than our bodies, big time. Like, so I don't really care about that, honestly, because I because in my opinion, you don't transition to satisfy a societal expectation. Yes, passing is a thing, and I understand it's hard, and sometimes it's hard for me too. Um, it's something I'm working on, but and we all aim for a little bit better in everything that we want to do, but I just don't want to go down that path of chasing surgery after surgery and still not being content. I want ultimately to find a level where I feel more content. Am I content right now? Yes. Could I aim for a little bit better to reach my goals and feel more like myself? And because I already today in this moment, I feel fantastic. And who knows? But I will keep you updated on that. But I will not go rogue and turn into a surgery monster. um, I'm a wholesome person. I want to be myself. I want this journey to be on brand. Like, I want this journey to be about me and my own self-discovery and my own journey from within. Because we are more than our body. I say this all the time when it comes to fitness, too. That we are. And we don't want to just chase never enoughness. We can aim for better and feel good and find ways to feel good in our own skin being ourselves without chasing never enoughness. So I think that's important. I want to continue voice training. That has been something that I've really slacked off on. In the summertime, I have really bad seasonal depression in the winter. Like, it gets dark at 5. It's cold. I don't like the cold. My hands get really, like, everything just doesn't feel that great for me in the winter. It's a tough time of year for me. And, I mean, I know I don't like to, like, make those excuses, but, like, the reality of it is winter just is a tough month for me. It's also, like, winter time is not the best time. But I mean, I've taken little steps. For my voice, like I was practicing it a lot more and doing a lot more work and learning over in like September. But that's something I want to keep doing is working on my voice. And that's the thing too is like my treatment doesn't fix your voice. Again, I don't want to do any type of surgery there. That could be dangerous. Because I can get really good with my voice. I do want to be more dedicated in that, and I'm making this part of the video to hold myself a little bit of accountability for that, because I do want to improve on my voice, because when you're younger, those testosterone will expand that vocal tract and the area is bigger, so your voice gets deeper. And HRT can't reverse that. But, and again, like finding content, like finding a gray area, a happy place within there is important to me, kind of building up, and I'll get better because it's important to me and I'm going to work at it. I do want to get electrolysis on my face. I still have to shave sometimes, usually every couple days or so, which is kind of a bummer because for me that's also very dysphoric, especially as I've been going through my transition past few months. It's like, oh, I gotta shave. It's like, but that's something I still have to do. Again, the hair is more thinner when it does come in, so a lot of times it can be covered up with makeup or and because I shave, like there it's not as thick, which is really awesome. So just I have a little bit left on my legal side of things too, switching things over. So that's basically done. I think for me is continuing to find those little steps, baby steps, because again, like change doesn't happen overnight. And I always think like just taking those little baby steps, crawling out of that darkness, crawling out of that fear into feeling whole. And never falling into the trap of never enoughness. And so here we are, 7.5 months in, almost a year into coming out and living my true life. So I hope you can live your true life too. And if you need anything, I am always here for you. This video is almost an hour long. I only wanted it to be a half hour, but guess what? There's a lot to catch up on. So, again, my name is Melanie. I hope you are having a fabulous day and you are awesome. And don't let anyone tell you differently.